Mind is the master power that molds and makes, and man is mind, and evermore he takes the tool of thought, and shaping what he wills brings forth 1,000 joys, 1,000 ills. He thinks in secret, but it comes to pass. Environment is but his looking glass. James Allen. So your mind is either your best friend, your most powerful tool in creating a life that you love, or your mind is your worst enemy that is guiding you down the slippery slope towards engaging in thoughts and behaviors that do not serve the highest expression of what you are capable of. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you a 3-step framework on how to control your mind so that you can use this to brainwash yourself and make the desired behaviors that you know you are supposed to be doing anyway automatic, so that you don't have to rely on willpower, so that you don't have to rely on hustle and grind, but what you know you need to do becomes automatic. Okay, so make sure to stick to the very end of this video. Now, first and foremost, we have to get some clarity on what exactly the mind is. For a long time, I thought that the mind was the same thing as the brain, but the brain is an organ, okay, which exists. We can see what it is, but the mind is a bit more elusive, right? We can't really pinpoint where the mind is. Some of us think that it exists in our brain, but some more research is actually showing that it doesn't necessarily exist in the brain. Like the heart might have a mind, like our different organs might have a mind. Okay, so it helps to actually narrow it down into the 3 different categories of mind, right? So first and foremost is the conscious mind, right? What you are currently aware of. For example, you are conscious of my voice right now. You might be conscious of the bird tweeting in the background. You might be conscious of the shirt I'm wearing, right? The stuff that you're aware of right now. And then that is just the tip of the iceberg, right? You've probably seen that picture where the conscious mind is the tip of the iceberg, but underneath, the majority of it is actually the subconscious mind, right? So this is everything that you are unaware of that is still functioning in the backdrop. For example, your breathing a lot of times becomes subconscious, right? Because it's taking place without your conscious awareness. But you can bring your breathing to your conscious awareness by slowing it down, by bringing your focus there, by bringing your attention there, and thereby changing your physiology as well, right? Some other examples of your subconscious mind are your heart beating, right? You're not in control of that. Your digestion, you're not necessarily aware of that or in control of that, right? And all the stuff that you're not aware of. For example, if I ask you, what did you eat for breakfast yesterday? That was not something you were consciously aware of until I asked you this question, and then you uncovered it from your subconscious mind, right? So that's everything that's taking place under the hood. That is the place where our habits exist. That is the place where we engage in the automatic thoughts, automatic behaviors that take place every single day, right? Some psychology research shows us that, we think on average, I think 60 to 80,000 thoughts a day, and 90% of them are basically the same as the ones that we had before. And that is what is called the habitual recurrence of who we are being, right? Now, the third aspect is a bit more elusive, even more elusive than the subconscious mind, and that is the superconscious mind, right? So this is the realm of intuition, of mystical experiences, of getting access to the collective, of understanding something deeper than is understood through the intellect, right? So those are the 3 different aspects of mind, but the focus of this video is how to bring our conscious awareness to the subconscious programs that are not serving us, okay? So it's helpful to think of it like the mind, right, as the conscious mind, right? And the body as the subconscious mind, and then the spirit as the superconscious mind, which is beyond the scope of this video. But what our intention is to bring to conscious awareness our subconscious programs so that we can replace the ones that are not serving us with ones that will serve us. And then that is what makes our path towards our goals that much more smooth, that much more automatic. Okay, so very important to understand those 3 concepts over there, because what is going on in our modern society is that of subconscious hijacking, right? This is known as propaganda, whereby a lot of the materials, a lot of the media, a lot of the information that the mainstream is consuming is actually influencing our thought patterns. It's influencing our mind at the subconscious level without our awareness. Okay, that is the definition of propaganda, whereby you influence someone without them knowing they are being influenced. When you spend a lot of time watching mainstream media, which is basically fear mongering, then you develop a subconscious program of fear, right? It appeals to our negativity bias, whereby we are more likely to keep an awareness of the negative in our environment, because that is what kept our ancestors alive. But through the mainstream media, we are constantly engaged with this negative stimuli that makes us think that the world is unsafe, that we need to keep a lookout, that we need to keep our adrenaline high, that we need to keep our stress hormones high. And what this does in the long term is damage your body, and it also keeps you focused on the negative things in life rather than all the beautiful things in life that we have to focus on, right? So this is also with our social media, right? When we lose our attention, when we get caught up in the notifications, when we get caught up in the social validation, when we get caught up in how many likes we got, right? That is when we are doing things to get that dopamine spike, right? When we are doing things that give us that instant gratification in the moment without an insight in terms of how this behavior is going to impact me over the long term, right? For example, you can go and munch on that brownie right now. It's going to taste amazing, right? It's going to taste really good. You're going to enjoy this moment right here, right now. But the effect of that over the long term is something that you did not take into consideration when you ate that brownie. In the same way, you can go watch some pixels on a screen of two people doing stuff together, and you bust a nut watching that. That gives you that instant gratification, that gives you that peak experience, but over the long term, it is actually damaging to your well-being, okay? So understand that any behavior that you engage in that does not support your growth, your development, your evolution, that does not serve you, if you're engaging in behaviors that don't serve you, right, you're consciously aware. You have the conscious awareness that this behavior is not serving me, right? That's like step number one. But then when you are consciously aware of something, but you still can't help it, that is because your subconscious mind has become hijacked, right, by the dopamine, because your body gets that fix and you're like, yeah, I know that this sweet sugar is not good for me. I know that watching these pixels on the screen is not good for me. I know that binge watching Netflix is not good for me, but I can't help it. Why? Because your subconscious mind has been hijacked, okay? It's very helpful to think of your subconscious mind as your body, which means that when we experience these chemical reactions in our body in response to a stimulus in the environment, we actually repeat that, because what gets rewarded gets repeated, and dopamine is like the reward neurotransmitter, which makes us repeat the behaviors that are necessary or were necessary for our survival and reproduction in the past. So these companies, the powers that be, that are creating this content, that are creating these foods, that are creating all of these stimulus that hijack our subconscious mind, that make us do things in the short term that don't serve us in the long term, they are well aware that they're actually coming in under the hood without our conscious awareness. And even when we become consciously aware of these damaging behaviors, of these damaging habits, we can't help it because our body has become hijacked, right? So very important to have this awareness on having an awareness of what behaviors feel good in the short term and don't serve you in the long term, because it all transformation starts with awareness. You can't change what you are not aware of, right? So it really starts with that, and since you're watching this video, you are already aware of that. Now, 3-step process, right? Because so many of us think that we're lazy, so many of us think that we procrastinate, so many of us think that we just don't have the motivation. But the reality is that we are not actually implementing the first step of brainwashing ourselves, which is to understand that we are teleological beings, right? Aristotle said that human beings are teleological, which means that we are target striving, okay? So many of us are clear on what we don't want, but we are not clear on what we do want, okay? Everything starts with definiteness of purpose, as Napoleon Hill would say. What does the ideal life, what does the ideal version of you actually look like? What does the ideal circumstances of you actually look like? This is stuff that not many of us have thought about, right? Maybe you're like, yeah, I know that already. But do you have crystal clarity on what the ideal version of you looks like, what the ideal circumstances of life for you look like, right? Because it all starts with thought. Understand that thoughts are the cause of the effects in your life, right? The conditions in your life, the situations in your life, the circumstances in your life are rooted in thought. And unless you change your thought patterns, your habitual thought patterns, it's impossible to change the circumstances in your life. So many of us try to change the circumstances without changing our thoughts, and that never lasts because we are addressing the symptoms rather than the root cause. Okay, so important to get clarity and understand what target we are striving for. Okay, because if we don't have a target, right? We become part of someone else's plan. If we don't have a plan, we become part of someone else's plan. And this is why it's so easy for these companies to hijack our attention, because because so many of us are not clear on what we want, that it's way easier to just plant some stuff into our minds to think that, you know, what we really want is this consumerism, is this jacket, and what we really want is this social validation. But once you're very clear on what truly your heart desires, once you're clear on what your dharma is, what your purpose is, why you came here, what your ideal life looks like, what character traits you want to embody, that is when you have a target, right? And then you lock that conscious mind onto that target, and then you repeat it again and again. You visualize it again and again. You reprogram your subconscious mind, which is step number 2, right? Once you develop conscious awareness of what it is that your ideal life looks like, who it is that the ideal version of you looks like in all the different categories of life, right? I like breaking it down into the mental, physical, spiritual, financial, and social categories of life, having intense clarity around each of these areas, right? That's step number 1. Getting crystal clarity. And this is something that, you know, a lot of people are like, yeah, I already know that, right? But you don't actually know that until you are actually living that, right? In the Bhagavad Gita, it says that the immature think that knowledge and action are different, but the truly wise understand them to be one and the same thing. Are you actually living that? Okay, because at the end of the day, most of us are like, yeah, I want to be healthy, I want a six-pack, I want six-pack abs, I want healthy relationships. Okay, that's cool. And they're like, yeah, we want the same thing, right? I want money in the bank, I want financial freedom. Cool. So you want all of these things, but you're not engaging in the behaviors that allow you to create those things. So the question is, do you really want them, right? Have you really gotten clarity on the deep, motivating, and compelling reasons why you want these things, right? Because what we want, for the most part, is the same thing, right? We all want to be healthy, wealthy, and wise. We want good relationships, but most of us are not on that path, are not on that trajectory, because we have not gotten clear on the deep-rooted reasons about why we want it. It has to be something so exciting that gets you out of bed in the morning, right? With joy, with excitement. Because if that's not the case, then you just have not gotten intense clarity on what it is that you truly want. Because so many of us become conditioned by what we think we want, by external things. Oh, we think we want the car, we think we want a briefcase full of money, but you don't really want the money, right? You want the experience that you think the money will create for you. So it's really getting clear on those emotions, right? Because like I said, step number 2 is to reprogram the subconscious mind, which really comes through attaching emotional desire, obsessional emotional desire, with what it is that your ideal vision looks like, right? The more you can attach emotions to this conscious vision that you've created for yourself, the more you reprogram your subconscious mind. Okay, it's so important to understand this, because the mind, right, the conscious mind operates in the language of thought, and the subconscious mind operates in the language of feeling, of emotion. So the more we can cultivate that emotion and attach it with that vision, the more we will reprogram our subconscious mind, and subconscious mind learns through repetition, again and again and again, reminding yourself of your vision again and again and again, every single day, every single moment, like not every single moment, but like always keeping your vision top of mind, so that you can dictate your present decisions with that future vision that you have in your mind for yourself, right? And you know, one of the biggest things that we must reprogram our subconscious mind with is one of the most, what Napoleon Hill says, right? I'm going to quote him right now, and he says that the greatest of all forms of wealth is practical wisdom, through which men learn once and for all time that there is no such reality as something for nothing, that everything has a price, and the whole universe is arranged so that this price must be paid. Okay, again, we're conditioned through society to think that we can get something for nothing, right? Oh, I can get this result by using this 2-second hack to make millions online, or I can use this 7-minute belly burning workout to become lean forever, right? The reality is that never works. And the more we think, or the more we try to get something for nothing, the more we will continue to disappoint ourselves, the more we will continue to chase shiny objects, the more we will continue to remain distracted, the more we will continue looking for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, rather than understanding there is no such thing as something for nothing. If you have clarity on what it is that you want, then there is a price that must be paid. And since you're watching this video right now, you already know what that price is, what you must give up in order to create that life that you know you are capable of creating, right? You must sacrifice what you don't see as aligning with your vision, right? A quote that I've heard a lot is like, if you don't make sacrifices for what you want becomes a sacrifice, right? So reprogramming that subconscious mind, really developing that obsessional desire and emotion associated with that vision, And then we associate that with step number 3, which is to architect your ideal environment. Okay, your environment is composed of everything that your mind feeds on, both consciously, subconsciously as well. Okay, and super consciously as well if you create that environment spiritually. So your environment, first and foremost, we can go into looking like stuff like feng shui, right? Like arranging, putting certain vision boards around you, right? Or arranging certain like coins around to represent wealth. So we can like put items in our environment to facilitate the goals and the vision that we want, right? That's part one of that. And our mind feeds on that subconscious mind feeds on that as well. But the most important factor of your environment is the people that you surround yourself with. Okay, you can watch these videos, that's amazing, but if you can surround yourself in person, right? I mean, in person is kind of hard right now as well, but like you're watching this video right now, this is me just giving you a monologue, you can't really respond. If you can get into an environment where you have a discussion going, it's on and off, yeah, you can leave comments below, I'm going to open up that discussion with you as well. But it's very difficult to make positive change in your life if you're surrounded by people who are engaging in habits that you're trying to end in the first place, right? It's going to be near impossible to do so. And this is known as the mastermind principle. This is known as the Sangha in Buddhism. Like every line of philosophy, every line of thought, like every high performer has people around him that support him, that lift him up, that help him achieve his vision that much faster, right? The people that you surround yourself with would dictate the trajectory of your life more than any other factor. So it's very important to create an environment that supports your growth, that aligns with your vision, mission, and values in your life. But of course, that's step number 1, is to get clear on what that is so that you can become that person, attract those people in your life as well, in the process of seeking them out as well. Okay, so that is the 3-step framework on how to actually control your mind. It's very, very simple, right? It's very, very simple, but it's not easy, right? This is a lifelong process of brainwashing yourself with success so that you can install the subconscious programs that serve your vision, that serve your development, that serve your growth, and let go of the behaviors, the patterns, the thoughts that don't, as well as the people that don't, right? At the end of the day, it's about letting go of everything that does not serve you so that you can create the space for everything that does, and that will accelerate your process towards creating a life that you love. Okay, like I said, your mind is your most powerful friend, or has the potential to be, or it can be your worst enemy, depending on the subconscious programs that are running your habits, okay? That are actually running your life at the end of the day as well. So implement this 3-step framework, and I can guarantee that if you do this, if you implement this, not just watch this, if you actually do this in terms of getting clear on your vision, associating intense emotion with that vision, and surrounding yourself with people that support that vision, that are on that same path, then your success will be inevitable. Okay, so with that, I will conclude today's video. Leave a comment below letting me know your number 1 takeaway in this video, and click the like button if you like it. Really helps the channel grow. Subscribe if you have not already. With all that being said, I'm going to leave you in the peace and power of the one infinite creator, and I'll catch you in the next one.